So, good
All
morning,
right.
everyone, and welcome to today's edition of SMS. So, over to Venuji for the proceedings.
Yeah. So very happy to have CA Anil Kumar Bejwada, now a lawyer Anil Kumar Bejwada, a good friend. Just to introduce Anil, he's a fellow chartered accountant qualified in the year 2011, and he's also a cost and management accountant. He was a partner in Hiragangi and Associates LLP before coming into law practice. Presently, is practicing as an advocate in AP High Court. He is partner at HNA Law Chambers. He did his law graduation from Andhra University in business laws. He briefly worked as a junior lawyer in chambers of Mr. Harinath Nunepalli, who was a former deputy solicitor of General India High Court, Solicitor General India High Court of AP. Anil is specialized in consultation and litigation in GST, customs, excise, service tax, including foreign trade policy, EOU, SEZ. He also started practice in MSMED Act 2006 and IBC law. He's been a resource person on GST for various trade bodies. He also co-authored the book on GST legal precedents published by Commercial Law Publications. With this brief introduction, I welcome Anil to take on today's topic on controversial issues and recent matters which are in various high courts. Anil, over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just uploading the PPT.
Yeah. So Anil, our session is till 10. I'll just give a reminder at 9:50.
Sure, sir. Hope my PPT is visible. Good morning, all.
Yes, visible.
I must thank my friend Arup Das Gupta for giving this opportunity. So today, coverage I am going to discuss a couple of recent judgments given by AP High Court and some of the pending issues in AP High Court as far as the GST is concerned. I will also give the small overview on what type of petitions we can file in the High Court and directly without approaching the authorities. So these are all the judgments we are covering today. This is a recent decision. As you know, there are a couple of disputes from the day one of the GST that whether solar power plant installation, whether it is just a sale of goods or it is a works contract service. Subsequently, GST Council said it is a works contract. 70% of the value shall be treated as a goods, 30% shall be treated as a service, 30% value of the service liable for GST at the rate 18%. So this notification has been challenged before the court. Court said it is a works contract. It is not a works contract because it is only a supply of goods simpliciter. whatever the civil foundation, it is for the beneficial enjoyment of the solar power plant itself. It is not for the beneficial enjoyment of the land. Therefore, it is a movable property. It is not a works contract. As per the rate schedule, the whole solar power plant supply and installation of the solar power plant liable for GST at the rate 5% at that point of time. So whatever the service is there, that was only incidental auxiliary to the supply of goods. So this is a big controversy. AP High Court has given a very recent order, relied on various Supreme Court decisions in the context of what is attached to the immovable property. So solar power plant, they said it is neither rooted to the earth like a tree, nor rooted, constructed like a building or wall, nor it is for permanent beneficial enjoyment of the land. Therefore, it is not immovable property. Hence, it is not a works contract as per the GST law is concerned. It is a goods supply of the goods simpliciter liable for the GST at the rate 5%. So, hope I am clear on this decision. Many same issues pending before many high courts. Recently, Supreme Court also in the case of Bharti Airtel, they explained, they have given some parameters, what will constitute immovable property. They gave 5 tests, functional test, permanency test, like that. So, same principles discussed in the AP High Court decision also. Next judgment I am discussing whether the GST officer can be allowed to block the negative balance in the electronic credit ledger. If there is a positive balance, certainly he can block the credit if the parameters specified under Rule 86A is satisfied. But the question before High Court, can he block negative amount? That means whatever the credit fraudulently availed was already utilized. There is some fresh credit after, there is some fresh credit availed after that utilization. Can the officer block that fresh credit which is validly availed? So AP High Court said, considering the wordings in Rule 86A, officer can even block the even for negative balance. So the court explained the purport of the Rule 86A. Court said the set balance, the set credit, the phrase set such credit in 86A is referring the only fraudulently availed credit. Therefore, even fresh balance can be attached, including negative balance. There are other High Court decisions which held that officer cannot attach, block the negative balance, but AP High Court not agreed to the other High Court decisions. They have given their own decision. Unfortunately, one High Court decision is not binding on another High Court decision. Therefore, he has given the AP High Court has given the independent decision. Next important decision. There are circumstances where state GST officers were passing the orders without affecting the DIN number. So presently, AP High Court view is any order passed without DIN number it is a non-est order. Therefore, they are setting aside the assessment order and remanding the case back to the adjudicating authority plus consideration. So there is a board, CBSE board circular saying the DIN is mandatory. Correspondingly, all the states later issued the circular mandating the affixing the DIN number on the notice. There is a Supreme Court decision in the case of Pradeep Goyal directing all the states to implement the DIN system. So finance minister also told without DIN, that order is as good as a piece of paper can be thrown in the dustbin. So there are various assessees approaching the consultants after expiring the time limit to file the appeal before the appellate authority. So if the time limit to file the appeal is over, certainly if we file the appeal, appellate authority will dismiss the appeal on the ground of limitation. So in those cases, we are approaching the High Court saying that there is no DIN or there is no valid DIN. In some cases, a DIN of another show cause notice or DIN of another order is affixed to this order. So it is a wrong DIN. So no DIN, wrong DIN. In both the cases, High Court is setting aside the order and remanding the case back to the adjudicating authority for fresh consideration. Another important decision is the SRK Enterprises. In the initial days of implementation of GST up to the year 2024, there was some technical difficulty in the GSTN portal. Various orders were passed without signing digitally or even manually. So they issued the orders, unsigned orders. So we challenged it before the AP High Court. AP High Court said that is not a procedural error which cannot be cured. Therefore, the AP High Court set aside the order and passed the directed the adjudicating authority to re-adjudicate the matter. So in these cases, we are taking to the High Court only when the time limit for filing the appeal is already over, or the requirement to pay the deposit, pre-deposit at the time of filing the appeal is huge. Only in those cases, we are taking these matters to the High Court. This is a very important decision. So AP High Court said Section 29, subsection 2 of Law of Limitation Act 1963 would not apply to the GST Act. Therefore, whoever files the appeal before first appellate authority after the time limit, after the condonable time limit of 30 days. So naturally, the first appellate authority is dismissing the appeal. So the dismissal of the appeal on the ground of limitation has been challenged before the High Court. So High Court examined the various decisions in the past, and the High Court said the writ jurisdiction, High Court cannot direct the first appellate authority to condone the delay beyond the 30 days. Law of Limitation Act Section 29, subsection 2 won't apply to the GST proceedings because the outer time limit of 30 days has been prescribed under the special statute. Therefore, Law of Limitation Act would not apply to the GST proceedings. Personally, I won't agree with this decision, but this decision is very reasoned decision. Why I am not agreeing to this proposition is Section 29, subsection 2. If you see, the section says application of Law of Limitation Act shall be expressly excluded by the special act. So the legislature intentionally used the word express exclusion. But Supreme Court in Popular Construction said it need not be express exclusion. That express exclusion can be understood even by the necessary implication. Supreme Court said it need not be express exclusion. It can be even implied exclusion. Accordingly, High Court said when 30 days is fixed for outer time limit, so no one can condone the delay beyond 30 days. So the court said when 30 days is fixed for outer time limit, that is the necessary implication. That is the necessary implication to exclude the applicability of the Law of Limitation Act for the GST proceedings. Accordingly, the High Court dismissed all the appeals filed by the appellants, writ petitioners. So my personal view is Law of Limitation Act written in the year 1963, when the act says this act won't apply only when by express exclusion. Express means only express. There is no question of implied exclusion. The provisions of the popular constructions Supreme Court decision dealt the Arbitration Act. So Arbitration Act section 34 is having a different wording. So Arbitration Act used the word appeal can be filed within 3 months. If you are unable to file the appeal within 3 months, you can file the appeal within 1 month extended time limit. High Court can condone the delay, but not thereafter. So section 34 provision clearly uses a word. High Court can condone a delay of 30 days, but not thereafter. So there is express indication. No one can condone the delay beyond 30 days. There is no such express exclusion, express indication in the GST proceedings. Therefore, one can say that Law of Limitation Act can be applicable for the GST proceedings. So after this AP High Court decision, Delhi High Court also taken a decision saying that after 30 days, no one can condone the delay. So they agreed to the AP High Court latest proposition. So this is a highly controversial issue. So the way out for this issue, what we are doing is we are challenging the order and original separately before the High Court. While challenging the order and appeal, we are also challenging the order and original. We are identifying some procedural error or questioning the merits of the order and original, jurisdictional issue, natural justice issue. So we are identifying some challenge to some, we are identifying some points to challenge the order and original itself. So we are challenging the order and original so that the High Court cannot dismiss the petition on the ground of limitation. So recently I appeared before even Madras High Court. So in that case also, judge said we can't condone the delay. Anyhow, you challenged the order original, which is the ex parte order. So we will give you one more opportunity to go before the adjudicating authority. So go and participate in the proceedings so that you will get an opportunity of hearing. So as per the various Supreme Court decisions, once the order and appeal is dismissed on limitation, doctrine of merger won't apply. So order and original won't merge with the order and appeal. Therefore, order and original can be independently challenged before the writ court, provided if you satisfy the jurisdictional issues or violation of principles of natural justice. You should identify the grave error in the order. We can challenge the order and original. Any questions on this decision?
Sir, can you explain that order of merger? that you were just mentioning.
Doctrine of merger.
Doctrine of merger, sorry.
I
And
can
Anilji,
also
one
take
more
some
thing.
questions say at the end.
Yeah.
Another decision in this case, I argued before AP High Court. So GST authorities refused the granting of registration to a taxpayer on the ground that you are not from Andhra Pradesh, you are from Rajasthan. Therefore, we can't grant you the registration. Then they said at least authorized representative should be from state of AP, not from Rajasthan. So this I challenged before AP High Court. AP High Court said the High Court, the department argued that there are a lot of fake invoicing rackets are going on. So it is difficult to trace the GST evaders. Therefore, we are not inclined to grant the registration to this person. So court said, but as per the Article 19 of the Constitution, across the country, anybody can do the business anywhere. So the possibility of evasion of the tax, cannot be a ground for denial of the registration. So I got this order within a 10 days time. So if I file the petition on 1st January, so by 10th, I got this order. So subsequently within 3 days, the GST authorities also has given the registration certificate to the taxpayer. Another decision, this is a unfortunate decision. So I and Senior Advocate Raguraman sir argued this case before AP High Court. So in this case, the contractor provided the works contract services to the main contractor. Substantial portion of the GST, substantial portion of the service consideration he received. But he delayed the filing of returns for the month of March 2018. So in the month of July 2018, the DGGST people investigated the assessee. So during the course of investigation, assessee paid the tax liabilities. Interest was not paid. Therefore, show cause notice was issued and the case was adjudicated. During the appellate proceedings, assessee paid the interest. So now the appellate authority confirmed the penalty under section 74. So we challenged this order since the department wants to recover this amount by the way of bank attachment. So we approached the High Court to take a decision on this issue. In AP High Court, we can't ask the High Court only for stay. So if we want a stay against the order and appeal, so High Court said to the bar, unless we challenge the order and appeal in the High Court, so they said they cannot grant the stay. So the High Court said, assume the High Court itself as a GST tribunal. And if anybody wants to get the stay from the High Court, they should challenge the order and appeal on merits before the High Court. So High Court directed the other side to file the counter. So as if it is a GST tribunal, the High Court is disposing of a lot of petitions under the GST. So this case, High Court agreed to our propositions, first proposition and second proposition. The first proposition is unless there is an intention to evade the tax, 74 cannot be invoked. Second proposition, just because of delay in filing the returns, 74 cannot be invoked. High Court agreed to our proposition. Third question, in this case, petitioner as having received the GST from the customer. So there is a delay in paying the GST to the government. The court said the genuine financial difficulty cannot be accepted. Therefore, they confirmed the penalty under section 74. So this judgment was maybe in 2-3 days will be challenged before the Supreme Court. So we need to see the final result. So this is also interesting decision. As you know, the due date for filing the annual return for the year 2021 is the 28th February 2022. Therefore, as per section 73 subsection 10, orders shall be passed within 3 years. So 28th February 2025. As per section 73 subsection 2, order shall be issued within at least 3 months prior to the issuance of the order. So the question before High Court is 3 months. 3 months means how to calculate the 3 months. In this case, the show cause notice. In this case, show cause notice was issued on 30th. Show cause notice was issued on 30th. So petitioner's contention is last date to issue the show cause notice. 3 months means exactly 3 months, corresponding date before the 3 months. Therefore, 28th November is the last date. The authorities issued the show cause notice on 30th. Therefore, the show cause notice is barred by limitation. So the department contention before the High Court is it should be calculated since it is a February month. Since it is a February month, 3 months means 90 days. And they also contested the time limit for at least 3 months. It is only a directory, not mandatory. So in the context of the various other laws, the 3 months period was already interpreted, and the Supreme Court said Supreme Court in 2-3 decisions. Supreme Court said that 3 months means corresponding date after or before the 3 months. So once a period of limitation is prescribed, 3 months means the corresponding date after the 3 months. So if you see the order, you can find out the 2-3 Supreme Court decisions on the interpretation of the 3 months. I also filed the petition on the very same issue. So I got the stay on this issue. Next issue, it is also a burning issue and a couple of petitions pending before various high courts. Whether flavored milk, whether it is a milk or beverages. If it is a milk, classifiable under chapter 4. If it is a beverage, it is classifiable under chapter number 22. So the High Court said just because 0.5% badam is added to the milk, so it won't become the beverage. So beverage means by and large it should be manufactured out of the water, not from the milk. So on this issue, even Madras High Court also has given the favorable order to the taxpayer. So this issue is also often comes before all the high courts. So once the moratorium is imposed by the NCLT, so whatever the dues existing till that point of time will come under the purview of the IBC proceedings. So in this case, actually the petitioner Patanjali Foods, they have not given the paper advertisement in the state of Andhra Pradesh. So the department contested, we were not aware of this IBC proceedings. So therefore, our claims High Court can independently examine. The High Court said as per the Ghanshyam settled Supreme Court principle, Supreme Court judgments, once the moratorium is imposed, so the claims will be adjudicated by the NCLT. So either claims not submitted before the NCLT or claims submitted and extinguished by the waterfall mechanism in the NCLT proceedings. So those demands cannot be enforced by the tax department. If the department is having any apprehensions on the NCLT order that the petitioner has not complied the IBC law, so those non-compliances can be challenged by the way of NCLT order only, but the GST department cannot enforce the proceedings for the tax liability which is existing as on the date of the moratorium. This case I argued before AP High Court. Section 61 subsection 3 says the officer is scrutinizing the returns. So the ASMT 10 he has to issue. Thereafter, taxpayer is having a time of 30 days to file the reply. So in this case, the officer has given the notice, but without waiting for my reply, he issued a show cause notice. He issued the personal hearings. He passed the order. So after passing the order, after 2-3 years, after that he issued the recovery notices. So thereafter, after seeing the recovery proceedings, assessee woken up and came to me. So all the proceedings are over by the time he came to me. So there was a ASMT 10, there was a DRC 1A, show cause notice. So letters for personal hearing, order also passed 2-3 years back. So I challenged all the correspondences before the High Court. So High Court, in this case, officer by mistake, what he did is without waiting for 30 days. Without waiting for 30 days to file the reply to the ASMT 10, he issued the DRC 1A before 30 days. So I said that is not permissible under the law. So once the ASMT 10 is set aside, so consequential actions is also liable for set aside. So High Court agreed to my contention and set aside the all the proceedings initiated by the officer with the liberty to conduct the first assessment. So once we challenge these proceedings in the initial stages itself, officer will become alert. So he can't do the fishy things at least. So whenever we are vigilant in challenging these procedural issues. When you said any
Anilji,
question?
yeah, Anilji, maybe in the meantime, since we have done for a few case laws, so maybe we'll take some of the questions. One is from Venuji. Venuji?
Yeah, so for the same case, when ASMT 10
Arupji,
is
any question?
Yeah. Venuji is asking a question.
Please
for the-
unmute.
yeah.
Yeah, Venuji. Yeah,
Am I
can you hear
audible?
us?
I can hear you. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
Yeah. So on the matter when ASMT 10 was
One second. No, Venuji, I think Anilji can't hear us. Anilji, can you hear us?
Arupji, I am not able to hear you.
Here, no? Yeah, so you have to oh, sorry. You have to log out and log in. Ajay, can't hear. You have to log out and log in.
Hello?
Yeah. You have to enable your audio. Audio. Message. Ajay. Phone down.
Arupji, can you call Anil or you want me to call
Please,
Anil?
please
I
call
will
in here.
proceed. I will take some of the questions
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
end.
Yeah, I think Venuji is calling you. I think Venuji, if you can call him.
Venu sir, I am not audible.
You're audible, but you can't hear us.
Venu sir. ఓకే సో మీరు మాట్లాడేది నాకు వినపట్లేదా? ఓకే అయితే వాయిసే రావట్లేదు అయితే. షూర్ 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 లాస్ట్ లో చూద్దాం అయితే. ఓకే ఓకే.
Yeah, I spoke to Anil. He will continue
appears
and he will
there
take
is
the
some,
questions at the end.
Technical difficulty at my end. So I
Okay,
am
okay.
not able to hear the voice. So let me complete the presentation first. So thereafter I can take up some questions. So meanwhile, if there is any questions, you can also type the questions in the Q&A. So as Venu sir said, only movable, only immovable constructions are covered under the section 17(5). So solar power plant, solar power panels as a system as a whole, it is movable. Therefore, it is not covered under the section 17(5). So credit can be claimed. So in fact, I am arguing a case before AP High Court that lift is also removable. So whatever the motor of the lift or railings of the lift or ropes of the lift or the lift car itself is movable from ground floor to any floor. So it is a transport system. So what is affixed to the wall is only entry door. Therefore, applying the various tests, it is a movable item. So even though it is used for beneficial enjoyment of the building, once it is a movable, it won't enter into the clutches of the section 17(5). So credit can be claimed on the solar power plant. Next case is this case is also same, wherein I filed a reply to spot memo. So officer said in the audit report, I have not filed the reply. So therefore, I challenged the final audit report and consequential show cause notice. The High Court set aside the proceedings after spot memo and remanded the case for press consideration. Thereafter, the officer in remand proceedings dropped the whole issue. So this case, inverted duty structure, there was an amendment in the notification saying that so-and-so edible oil is not eligible for the IDS refund and henceforth. So but the assessee filed the application for IDS refund for the period prior to, change in the notification. So a departmental officer said once the notification is issued, so thereafter, even for the period prior to that notification, refund cannot be claimed. So High Court said circular cannot override the law. So High Court said refund is eligible. In fact, circular number 125, para number 8, it also says we have to file the refund application chronological order. So I challenged the circular before the AP High Court, saying that section 54, it just says the refund application has to be filed within 2 years. So section is not prescribing any order for filing the refund applications. So I also gave the calculations whether I filed chronological order or otherwise, refund amount is same. Therefore, that circular is not in accordance with the law. The High Court has to take a decision on this case. So similarly, in Pitambara textbooks case, Delhi High Court said not permitting the clubbing of 2 financial years into one single refund application is contrary to the law. So this decision is simple decision. The liabilities of society cannot be recovered from the secretary of the society. Both the persons are independent. Now, some basic concepts on this writ jurisdiction. So we can, interestingly, there is no time limits for filing the writs. So there are 5 type of writs. So habeas corpus petition. So it is whenever there is a unlawful detention of a person, we can file the habeas corpus petitions. So in our tax court every Monday, the judge is occupied with most of habeas corpus petitions. So we don't use normally that writ to be for the tax matters. Next is the mandamus. Whenever we ask to set aside a provision or provision is altered by rest to the act. So we use this writ of mandamus. Writ of prohibition, whenever any show cause notice is issued, if the officer is not having the jurisdiction, we will file the writ of prohibition prohibiting the officer not to proceed on the show cause notice. So co-warrant also we don't normally file. Writ of certiorari we file. Normally we ask to quash the show cause notice or order in appeal. So we use the writ of certiorari. So prayer before High Court is very crucial. What you are ultimately praying before the High Court is very important. So this is one decision normally we use for the writ jurisdiction. So writ can be filed only when there is a breach of fundamental rights or violation of principles of natural justice, or the officer is in excess of the jurisdiction is proceeding, or there is a challenge to wires of the statute or the rule. So the Supreme Court said this writ jurisdiction is a basic structure of our constitution. It is available to the all citizens. Even for violation of the statutory rights, we can file the petition. Rule of availability of alternate remedy is not an omnibus rule of exclusion of the writ jurisdiction, but a principle applied by the courts as a form of judicial restraint and refrain in exercising jurisdiction. In fact, Thursday, I challenged one petition in APA court. So judge said, Mr. Bajwada, you challenged the jurisdiction of the officer. So you are saying your service is liable for tax and reverse charge. So the officer is not having a jurisdiction on you, but there is something concept called alternative remedy. So that is a self-imposed restriction by the High Court. So even though you challenged the jurisdiction, we can relegate you to the first appellate authority for filing the appeal. So sometimes, though you have satisfied the parameters to come to the High Court, so by showing this alternative remedy, they relegate you to the High Court, relegate you to the first appellate authority. So in fact, that is my Thursday. That is the first petition. After that, I have to argue another 10 matters. So I just simply requesting the court to entertain the petition. Somehow he said, try your luck on 5th. So that matter will come for hearing on 5th again. So for all the balance matters, he responded positively. So he granted the stay in couple of matters. For 3 matters, he disposed finally. So this writ jurisdiction is a discretionary jurisdiction. So there is, apart from just High Court can give a writ, there is no much discussion in the Constitution of India. So all this discussion is from the Supreme Court decisions. But the provisions of any statutory enactment cannot control the Article 226. So if the case involving disputed facts, writ cannot be maintainable. If it is a pure question of law, you can file the writ petition. We should not suppress the facts or hide the facts. So that if you suppress the fact that is that can be a sole ground for dismissal of your petition. I have seen a couple of petitions dismissing like that by the court for the other advocates. We should be extremely careful in filing the petition. So we should not pursue the same remedy before any other authority after filing this petition. So I normally file the petition, maybe 1 out of 20 cases I get. So I normally file the petitions only when the time limit for filing the appeal is expired and client approached us after after expiring the time limit for filing the appeal. So another frequent case is cancellation of the GST registration. So even though time limit for revocation is over, even though time limit for filing the appeal is over, High Court is entertaining the petitions and directing the officer to revoke the GST registrations. So whenever we provide a service to the government department, if they are not releasing the GST amount to the contractors, so we are filing the petitions to the High Court. High Court is directing the government instrumentalities, being you are a service receiver, you should reimburse the GST to the service provider, then only you can pay the tax to the government. So in AP state presently facing a lot of financial crisis, they are not releasing the VAT refunds. So whenever there is a delay in sanctioning the VAT refunds, we are approaching the High Court for a direction to officer to sanction the refund immediately. Another frequent case, we are approaching the High Court whenever there is a recovery proceedings initiated against the order in appeal. So we are approaching the High Court for the stay. But as I said, we should challenge the order in appeal. Another frequent case, we are filing late submission of the Form C, Form H after the assessment done by the VAT officer. Another frequent case, challenging the recovery notices, auction notices, attachments, garnishee proceedings. Especially the state government, they are very rigorous on this issuing the attachment notices, garnishee proceedings, auctioning even the properties of the taxpayer. Another frequent case, issues on cross empowerment. So if the both authorities for the same financial year, if they are proceeding, so people are filing the petitions in the High Court. And in fact, the assessee allocated to the state, suppose if central officer is proceeding, in those cases also petitions have come to the High Court. Without a notification, how the central can assume the jurisdiction. Yes, okay. Okay, right. 1 minute, Rupji, 1 minute.
So Anil has an issue on hearing the thing from us. So I don't know how the Q&A can go today. Maybe he has to log out and log in.
As we came to the
I think, sir,
General
I think
session.
this Q&A
So,
can be
I
happened.
can take up a couple of questions, sir.
Sir, you can kindly ask the questions and mobile to him, so he will answer. That can
Okay.
be a solution.
I'll do that, yeah. There are some questions in the chat. Maybe
Please
let him pick
elaborate
that.
on doctrine of merger. Sir, this is a concept used in the courts, sir. So recently, Supreme Court also said, suppose if an SLP is dismissed
Octra.
at the time of admission, so Supreme Court said the High Court order is not merged with the Supreme Court order because Supreme Court order is not on merits. So therefore, High Court order is not merged in the with the Supreme Court order. So like this, there are various decisions. So lower court order won't be merged with the higher court order, especially when higher court order not entertained or dealt on the merits of the case.
Anil sir, are you able to hear us now? Anil sir, are you able to hear?
Yes, Venu sir, now I am able to hear you.
Very good. Great. Okay.
Sir, another question, if the ASMT 10.
No, Anilji, before that, the doctrine of merger by Somya ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that
sir.
has been dealt.
Okay.
Sir, at this point, I have one doubt. Like
Yes, ma'am.
whenever in first appellate authority, the appeal is rejected because of limitation.
Yes, sir.
And we approach the next level, the tribunal. So whether appeal will withstand at tribunal, or again it will be checked for limitation and then rejected. I mean, here how you apply the doctrine of merger.
Madam, even for the tribunal, once the first appellate authority dismissed the appeal on limitation, so even tribunal also will dismiss the appeal because they cannot ask the first appellate authority to contravene the specific provisions of the act.
So to that extent, the doctrine of merger is not applicable in
Yes,
the
yes,
appellate.
doctrine on merger is not applicable, but whatever the ordinary original, so that is in force, the officer can enforce the ordinary original. So that is the reason I said we should challenge the ordinary original.
No, we cannot take order in original to the tribunal directly. No, that is not allowed.
Yes, yes, that is not allowed. That is the reason the Constitution provided the judicial review on all the actions of the government. So you
Okay.
can test that order original before the High Court under the writ jurisdiction.
Only before the High Court.
Yes, yes, sir. So another question, when ASMT 10 is set aside, can department not plead DRC 1A is independent? Sir, here the statute provides for the mechanism, verification mechanism, and the certain rights have been provided to the taxpayer. So department cannot bypass that whole procedure. As you said, if I am the person appearing for the government, I will definitely argue my show cause notice, my order can stand on its own leg without relying upon the ASM return. But the statute provided some procedure, some rights to the taxpayer. So the department cannot override that safeguards. So not providing enough opportunity at the ASMT stage, 10 stage, it is not only violation of the principles of natural justice, but it also to the contrary to the scheme of the law. So there are even recently AP High Court when there is a lacuna at final audit report stage, and the final audit report is vehemently relied in the show cause notice. That show cause notice is liable for set aside. Further, in response to DRC 1, if the lesser time to reply for ASMD 10 is not challenged, still can we take this ground in the writ and get it quashed? Please guide. Sir, all this, especially the principles of natural justice and question of law, you can argue at all the stages, sir. But we should also challenge the ASMD 10 in the High Court. While challenging the show cause notice, you should also challenge the relevant proceedings that is after ASMD 10, whatever the proceedings they issue. After ASMD 10, if it is only DRC 01, so DRC 1 we should challenge it. Hope I am clear, sir.
One question. Can I ask you one question, sir?
Yes, yes, sir.
Sir, in case of the time for appeal has expired and we move to the High Court, High Court can very well say that you have come to us because you have not been able to exhaust that remedy given in that. So, normally writ should be filed within that time period of allowed for appeal, sir.
Sir, when I appeared for the government, so when I raised this objection that this writ petition has been filed after 3 months, the time limit to file the appeal, judge asked me to read the Article 226 loudly. So after I read the Article 226, judge said, where is the time limit prescribed under the Article 226? So for filing the writ petitions before the High Court, what we need to focus only on what is your grounds of challenge, the grave jurisdictional error. So we should focus on those elements. So time limit, normally the High Courts are not keen. Once we are able to kick in the jurisdiction of the High Court, they are flexible on the time limits. So recently I challenged the provisions of section 16(2)(c) after 4 years. See, one judge asked me, what is the delay for 4 years? So immediately Chief Justice said, he is challenging the provision. So if the provision goes, his demand will go. So therefore, we will admit the petition like that. So the time limit prescribed under the statute cannot control the scope of the Article 226, but we must have the reasonable cause to tell to the High Court why there is a delay.
Sir,
We should explain the delay.
Yes, sir, in addition to the query what sir has raised, I also raised a similar practical issue where the client has received the order in November 24 and it has been passed without any merits, like it is everything is on some random document and they have created a huge liability. And the second aspect is it is unsigned order. And the limitation period is by Feb 25, I'm supposed to file that appeal actually within the limitation period.
Yes,
Now
sir.
the issue is because the pre-deposit will be huge, so the client was planning that they can go for writ petition because it is an unsigned order and it has been pronounced without any merits. Now the issue is because I don't want to file the appeal within that limitation period and I want to file a writ against that order. Whether the first appellate authority will allow me to exclude the time for which I have filed the
Yes, yes.
petition,
Yes, madam.
and then I can file the appeal. Yeah.
Section 14 of Limitation Act.
Huh.
So whatever the AP High Court decision I discussed on the time limits, in that decision itself, they said though section 29 subsection 2 of the Limitation Act won't apply for the GST proceedings. Section 14 of the GST, section 14 of the Law of Limitation Act will apply. Therefore, whatever the time spent bona fidely before High Court will be excluded.
Okay.
When you file the appeal before first appellate authority. So if the demand itself is arbitrary, so random, you can challenge that order before the High Court. There is beautiful decision of the Supreme Court, Lakshmi Devi versus State of Andhra Pradesh,
Okay.
Supreme Court decision. So the demand itself is arbitrary and you are unable to file, it is impossible to pay the pre-deposit. That is
Okay.
enough to you to challenge the order in the High Court.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, it's 10:03.
Yes.
We generally normally conclude the sessions on time.
Yes.
If you permit, we'll take one question by Avinash Bhai. Last
Yes,
question
yes.
and then we'll conclude.
It's my pleasure. Yes.
Yeah. Avinash Bhai.
Good morning, Anilji.
Good morning, sir.
Anilji, I absolutely agree with you with regards to the limitation that if it is not filed within the appealable period or the condemnable period, then high courts are liberal. But I just wanted to know your views on the Glaxo India. Because Glaxo India comes in our way. Because that says a larger bench judgment of the Supreme Court says that if the writ is to be filed against an order in original, and for the maintainability of that writ, it has to be filed within the period within which the statutory appeal was supposed to be filed. If it is filed beyond that period, then certainly it is not admissible. The writ is not maintainable. This is what Glaxo India says. Although there are n number of judgments in the GST wherein the high courts are liberal, but this certainly comes in our way. That is the first argument of the of any departmental authority or the respondent counsel. So, what is your view on this?
Sir, if you see the GlaxoSmith's case, first of all, Supreme Court not satisfied the reason for delay itself. The reason given by the petitioner at a different point of time, they gave different reasons. So High Court not satisfied on the reason itself. Second point, they have challenged the order before the High Court in writ jurisdiction. So they couldn't explain what is the jurisdictional error, what is the principles of natural justice, virus challenge. The issue in GlaxoSmith is only computation of the turnover. So since the High Court is liberal, the High Court allowed the petition. But the department went to the Supreme Court. So there is no, the petitioner could not explain what is the ground of challenge before the High Court. So High Court just simply admitted the petition based on the face value. So GlaxoSmith case won't apply in a case where you are successfully established the jurisdiction of the High Court.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And if you see the Singh Enterprises case, Hongo, GlaxoSmith, all these cases, reason itself is not a bona fide. So if your reason is a bona fide, even if you are unable to kick in the jurisdiction of the High Court, based on the principles of equity and justice, High Court may allow your petition and relegate you to the authority again for process adjudication. But if you are able to kick in the jurisdiction of the High Court, certainly High Court will admit the petition, though there is a delay.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Any other question by anyone so that we'll conclude? RPG, are you there?
Yes. So I think thanks to Anilji for the wonderful session, but we extended it by about 3-4 minutes because there was a timeout. We had to call and also there was a joining gap of 1-2 minutes. So considering that, we have completed with 1 hour. But thank you once again, and it's wonderful to have you. So Venu, over to, I don't know whether RPG is there or RPG, are you there?
No, we can only conclude.
Yeah, I think Venuji, vote of thanks for you.
Yeah, okay. So firstly, I'm very happy the way the deliberations happened, and special thanks to Anil, wherein he brought in so many decisions. Now, this itself is a food for thought for us for consuming at least for next 3 months. So I wholeheartedly thank Anil for bringing this, and very lucidly you have put up the presentation, very easy to consume. And there are definitely many points which were like beyond my apprehensions, including your discussions with Avinash. But yes, they are good food for thought. And as a last point of the note, as usual, all the members request inform your friends so that every Saturday morning they schedule and join the SMS. And me and Arup would call to schedule a session with you. Please be available for us. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Anil.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Arupji.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.